Hello, I'm Daniel Szabo, and this is the Thursday reading. Peter Morris, Chapter 8. Peter Morris seems pretty angry. The sight of the real girl up in the tree, instead of the painted version, soothed his anger immediately. I was angry, but I'm happy to see you. What are you doing in my tree? Your tree? Your tiger? You're a bit possessive, Morris. I am the Baroness of the trees. She had an affectionate, playful tone that he had rarely heard. What were you so angry about? He did not feel like answering the question. What was he angry about? Did he even know? Was it his sense of inadequacy? His solitude? I think I was angry at my painting. I like that. His face strained under the tension. It was not exactly at his painting that he was angry. Maybe I was angry at myself. Or at God. God again? Please, don't use this lame excuse. He's got nothing to do with your painting or your character. It's you, Peter Morris, who's in charge. She was certainly vehement about God. Why did he always have to mention God when he knew she did not like talking about him? That was silly. I do not think it is a lame excuse. If he exists, and I do not know if he does, then he has got everything to do with me and my art. I don't really want to talk about God, if that's okay. I've heard enough about him growing up. I'd rather talk about you, or about me. It's more interesting. If you want to talk about God, you can talk to my father. What would she say if she knew he was going to meet her father the following day? Maybe he should tell her, even if he feared her reaction. It might happen sooner than you think. Really? The news did not seem to trouble her. Well, I have a kind of appointment with your father tomorrow. I hope you do not mind. Why would I mind? It means you've tried to contact me. I would have been offended if you hadn't. I imagine you wanted to talk to me, but didn't have the courage to ask, so you arranged a meeting with my father. Am I right? How could she guess? Was he that predictable? Yes, you are right. But how did you know? My father told me. He had received a phone call from a lost young man, and he asked me if I knew a Peter Morris. Ah, I see. I suppose anyone can tell I am lost. He was not predictable, but he was pathetic, which was worse. Zoldy was still sitting comfortably in her tree. Well, in Peter's tree. She looked like a squirrel, except she was not moving constantly and she had no tail. The exchange was swift and lively. She seemed so happy, as though life was there to be relished and nothing else. After a brief lull in the conversation, she resumed her gentle, impish harassing. You still haven't told me why you were so angry. You looked like you were going to kill someone. I am not sure why I was so angry. But I was not going to kill anyone or kill myself. That I know. You were too eager to meet me again. She was right, but also very arrogant. Maybe it was time for Peter to try and respond to her banter. Well, I am not the one sitting in a tree in your garden. He was quite proud of his comeback. I didn't call you and talk to your dad. She had obviously much more experience and skill than him in the art of teasing. He is dead. That was not funny. But Peter could find nothing else to say. His statement was of course very abrupt, but it allowed Peter to see another Zoldy. Up in her tree she suddenly looked more humane. For the first time since he had met her, she seemed at loss for words. He had seen no sadness in her yet, no melancholy, but like the immortal bird that was not born for death, he saw on her face the shadow of the incommensurable darkness that covers men inevitably. He had mentioned his father's death in a casual tone, but she had not dismissed it with another quip. I'm really sorry, Peter. She had never called him Peter. She looked even more pretty when she was serious. Ah, it is all right. You could not have guessed, and it is not your fault. What happened? They died in a stupid car accident when I was still at school. Although death was to be expected, Zoldy looked saddened by the death of two people she did not know. Above Peter Morris and the Baroness of the tree, the wind was blowing and the clouds went in their direction. She repeated what she had already said. I'm really sorry. Peter had not anticipated such compassion from the girl in his tree. He felt guilty that she almost showed more grief for the loss of his parents than he had at the time of their death. He also felt the awkwardness of the situation. As long as she had been teasing him, her position in the tree had seemed perfectly fitting, but now that the conversation had stalled because of a sad interruption of the past, Peter did not know how to behave or what he was supposed to say. He had lowered his eyes after she had reiterated her regret. When he looked up again, her expression had already changed. She was ready to talk again. "Well, at least you got to know your parents." There was a bit of bitterness in her statement, but she pronounced it with a tone that was surprisingly sincere and cheerful, as if the thought could comfort Peter. He immediately remembered their first encounter, when she had announced casually that she had been adopted. This girl was certainly a mystery. She was smiling again, as if death had not broken in on their conversation. Her smile helped Peter recover from his uneasiness. "You are quite amazing, Zoldy." "I know, I get that a lot." The fresh, sprightly Zoldy was back. Nonetheless, Peter Morris was starting to feel exhausted. It had been a very long conversation for his standards. He wanted to put an end to it, but he did not know how. It was strange. He was enjoying the moment, but he could not forget how, in the past, he had messed up with girls. He did not want Zoldy to stop liking him. Even Peter could tell she quite liked him. He did not want Zoldy to disappear from his life and become lonely again. Talk only with his paintings and eat all his meals by himself, wondering what it would be like to eat and have a conversation at the same time. She started talking on another subject, but Peter could not listen any longer. He was overwhelmed by the emotional fatigue of the exchange. "Zoldy, can we stop there?" This was almost as abrupt as when he had first talked to her. Her intonation showed that she did not mind. "I see you're not that interested in what I'm saying. You wouldn't be the first one. I have been known to talk a little too much at times." "It is not that at all. I am interested, but you have to realize that I am not used to long conversations, Zoldy." "It wasn't that long." "For me it was. I usually do not talk at all. I need some time to work this out. You have to be patient with me." "You seem fine to me, but it's up to you." "I was fine, and then it was too much." "So, do you want me to leave now?" "No. You can stay in my tree if you want, and I will go for a walk." "See you then." "Yes, see you, and thank you." And that's it for this week. See you next week. Bye.